Typically CHP really only has two main benefits. The first is energy savings when compared to buying electricity from the grid and running your boilers on site. And then the other is actually a reduction in CO2 emissions, again when comparing to using a boiler on site and buying your primary energy or your electricity from the national grid.
Applications can be small in a small hotel, small leisure centre, right up to large industrial processes. An example of a large industrial process we're involved with is at Jaguar Land Rover, where we've got CHP sitting on the back of the production line for Range Rover. We've got plant running at Jaguar. Equally, we've got plant running at a very small leisure centre just down the road from here.
Each CHP is designed to come into our factory here as a box of parts ready to be put together to form a finished CHP. In this respect, we're more of an assembly plant than a manufacturing plant. It takes around about 3 weeks to put all these parts together. After this is complete, the unit will then spend a week in the test cell. Within the test cell, every single electrical component is checked to see if it's functioning correctly and doing exactly as we want it to do. We also spend a good amount of time checking the engine itself to see that it's performing and producing the required heat and electric for that particular model.
The first thing we do is we look at the customer's energy data, in particular their gas demand and power demand profiles for at least the last 12 months, and size the machine. You know, it could be that it's not feasible to put a CHP in. If the scheme looks feasible and the savings are in line with the customer's expectations, then the next stage would be to go and do a full site survey to ensure that we can install the machine correctly, in fact that we can install it and that it will fit.
Payback is very much driven around spark gap. Spark gap is the difference between gas and electricity. The wider the price between power and gas itself, the better the savings. Typically, we would expect to see in the current environment paybacks of around about 4 years, but we have seen paybacks that are a lot less, and of course paybacks that are higher, but typically on average about 4 years.
In terms of installation program, the duration can take anything from 3 weeks to over a year, depending on what's involved in the project. Sometimes there's an existing CHP in place and it's just a question of taking that CHP out and putting a new one in, and that can be very quick because obviously the existing site systems, the interface systems are already in place. But sometimes it's a greenfield site and we have to work in sequence with what else is going on site, and that can take quite a long time.
The life of a CHP unit is clearly critical. And all I can say is, from my experience, I've been with the business 20 years and we've still got machines that are running. One of the mantras we've always set out in Cogenco is to be able to self-deliver. So we can do everything from a complete engine rebuild if necessary, right down to the software and the control system.
We try to have what I would call a cradle to grave approach with a scheme. So what we would look to do is, the feasibility study actually may have been already completed by a mechanical electrical consultant, However, Cogenco has the experience clearly of 30 years to be able to do the feasibility studies and actually do a lot of that design work as part of our service. Once the CHP feasibility is carried out, we have sized the CHP, or we know what the CHP size is. We would then go through the sales process to ensure that commercially that everything was as it should be in terms of the CapEx and also of course the operational aspect, which is really important for a CHP unit to be successful.